As you mentioned, with the wave of migration and losing our experts, and nowadays it's something crucial for us to keep them here and the use of their knowledge and lack of infrastructure. What do you think about the future? What do you think the future holds for Iranian startup ecosystem?
When I think there will be, a big change, like it has been before, depending of the regulations that each government makes every 6 to 8 years. It will be different. In that term, also, I think that the international environment and atmosphere toward Iran will be different also. And I'm looking forward to it because I think the future is better for Iranian ecosystem. Just looking to its outcome during the past years, someday nobody would think that Iranian ecosystem play a big role in our economy. But now we see that almost 7% of the total GDP is made of digital economy. And we hope that it increases up to 40% and replaces the oil. Perhaps digitalizes the oil industry. I'm not sure how, but I can see the mega trend is happening in the world, and I can see that one of the few opportunities that Iran economy has is its startup ecosystem. So I would take it seriously if I was in charge.
Thank you. Right now, I'm going to ask you about our investment. We have a lot of venture capitals, investors, and someone who wants to be involved with this market. What is the current investment landscape like for startup in Iran? And are there any trends or shifts in investment patterns that you have observed recently?
Well, generally speaking, the role of venture capital companies, I see that the role of them is in a way they are looking for their exits after like 7 years and 8 years of investment. It's typical that they are looking for their exit and kind of returning their investment, especially those who invested in big companies nowadays. But in another hand, I can see industrial holdings, big holdings. They were active in so many things. Perhaps FMCG, manufacturing, things like this. Those who made the money throughout the years, especially in the last 30, 40 years, they are entering the investment scene in the startups, and they are very active in that way. If they learn how to invest, and if they learn how to invest in this economy especially, and learn the new rules of investment, I think they are the next hope. But generally speaking, in terms of government fund, we are doing relatively bad in compared to the region. Just look into Saudi Arabia, look into UAE, look into Qatar. They are investing lots and lots of money, their governments create funds. Our government is looking to the private sector to work. I think the best way is not for the government to say, private sector brings the money, I regulate. It's the other way. I bring the money, the private sector regulates. That's the magic formula for the investment. And I think this is what is happening in the region. And we need to look into the programs that is happening in the region and do relative moves as a nation.
Actually, if we look backward, it happened a decade ago.
Yes.
The ministry,
They brought the
money,
investments.
yes,
And the VCs was regulating and was operating the money, right?
yes.
Nowadays, it's vice versa. If you are a private sector or an angel company or an angel investor, you go through a lot and lots of rules and regulations and policies to spend your money on a startup that you found, right? It's not going to work. We propose the old approach, please.
Are there any notable examples of successful collaboration that have led to significant advancement? For example, I'm going to talk about the two companies, Goldrang,
Yes.
Goldrang Venture.
Exactly.
In last year, they came to the market with the full power,
Yes.
and they want their share. And also, there are other companies which are looking to Goldrang Venture to what happened to them, to bring their money. What do you think about these types of actions?
Well, I think the direct approach of industrial holdings is not that much preferable for the startup ecosystem. There should be another role player. There should be startup funds, venture funds in between of these holdings and startups. Just look into the case that we all heard about Alibaba and Zarmakaron,
Yes.
Which was a kind of difference between the language and the culture of two generations of the companies, which failed the whole investment and created a lot of bad words for all the two companies, right?
Yes.
It was a lose, and for the whole ecosystem, lose deal, right? Like, I think there should be another role player in between of these industrial holdings and startups, and that portfolio managers should focus on creating low risk deals and consortiums for the holdings in a way that they can kind of invest, but they can take the risk in compared to what they have experienced before, right?
Yes.
That's one thing. And the other thing is that I think the investment is not the only way the holdings can work with startups. And there are other ways, like 2 years ago, I made a deal between Postbank of Iran and Digicala with the worth of $150 million at that time to create BNPL business model for the customers of Digicala. And it was a win-win deal because everyone played their role in their own existing zone, right?
Yes.
So I think the startups should look into other ways that they can collaborate with these big holdings instead of just asking them for money.
That's very interesting because I have had an interview with Ms. Sadernia, the CEO of Goldrang Venture.
Yes.
And she told us that they bought most of these startups for their own employee.
Yes.
And because they have
yes,
lots
yes.
of employees.
And they bought major shares in big corporate startups, which is not that much understandable for me.
So they could use of a smart money instead of cash money to being
Perhaps.
involved in
Perhaps.
this ecosystem?
Yes. I think it would be better if they used their brand, if they used their network to collaborate with other holdings and created a kind of alliance and also create a kind of VC or CVC between them. And then use that fund to fund a portfolio of startups, not just look into one startup as a enabler for one of their business models, because at the end of the day, what is a corporate startup? People, process, technology, right? The people will go if they think that they are employees of a big holding, right?
Yes.
They became entrepreneurs because they want to experience a different kind of lifestyle. So they have good alternatives, they go, right? So you lose people, your processes will be outdated, your technology will be outdated, and you create a beneficial and good company, and you lose that company, and I think that strategy won't work. We have to see, we have to watch and see, and for now, I think the role of CVCs and venture capitalists are very important between these holdings and startups.
Thank you. And next question is about, do you see any challenge or opportunities in this market right now?
Well, a lot of them, yeah.
Can you mention one opportunity which is very huge for you and one challenge which is very bothering you?
Well, digitalization of old industries, which we have a lot in Iran, from oil industry to FMCG. Web3 enabling of big industrial holdings. Think of AI, crypto, things like this. Huge potentials in fintech, lendtech, insurtech. Huge potentials in these areas, and that's it for the starters.
How are educational institutions contributing to the development of entrepreneurial skills in Iran?
Well, I think one thing that lacks these days in our education system is that we don't have that much bridge between the international knowledge of how to run startup, how to invest in startups, how to make policies, and what is actually and what actually happens here. So one of the best roles that educational places can take is that to play a role of some kind of bridge, some kind of a dialogue maker between Iran and the international ecosystems.
Well, my next and last question is, do you believe there is a need for any specific educational reforms or initiatives to be better support aspiring entrepreneurs?
Well, you mean in higher education?
Yes.
Or schools?
Yes.
Higher education.
Higher education.
Well, reforming in higher education is not that much effective. It's an international knowledge that educational activists know, but perhaps we need some kind of new ideas in that sector. What we need is a reform in schools. We need so much help in that area because we all know that once a character is built, it's very hard to change it, right? And in higher education, we are dealing with the people that we already made as an output and outcomes of educational system. Perhaps we need reform in schools, how we approach to the kids, how we approach how we shape their mindset toward business, toward entrepreneurial experiences. But for the generation that we are dealing with right now in higher education, I think we need new ideas. We need more collaborative ways to learn, more international case studies, more bridges between educational institutes internationally and Iranians. Yeah, that's that.
I'm asking this question because I can remember my bachelor was in the field oil and gas.
Yes.
And we have read a lot of things, thermodynamic and dynamic and everything, mathematics, physics, chemical stuff, everything. But one application covered, I think, more than 24 units of our education. Only one application. And then I went to my professor and said, what are we reading all of this? Because there is an application that we could use of it. So why should know all of this and you will take an exam for most of things that we cannot even imagine about it. There is an application that a person without any knowledge could use of it with the guideline of it.
Yes.
And he told me in that moment, what if the light's gone? And I was like, okay, the whole system will hold to the light back.
Yes.
And I can't understand in that moment how crucial is digitalization for universities. Right now, I know most of the fields in the studies have to go to enrollment in some companies. But for management, I think there is not any enrollment to some companies, such as, for example, as you mentioned, Divar Digikala, Cafe Bazaar, or something like that. And I hope that something like this happen in the future, because most of the people who wants to be in our ecosystem, next generation in higher education, they should see at least one good organization, which has happened in all over the world. They have some memorandum with most of the companies, which is very famous, and the CEO, CTO, CMO, most of the C-level wants to at least share their knowledge and experience with the students. What do you think about this application? We are in the 4th generation of digital transformation. And we are completely hold ourselves, I believe, to see what happened for other countries, and then we will step on the water to see can we swim on it or not. What do you think about the actions of digitalization and using of the knowledge of our companies in our universities?
Well, as I said, it's one of the few opportunities that Iran have to transform and to leverage its young population. Definitely, it's very important for the digital economy to be a part of education, and for the education system to absorb as much as it can of the digital economy, because I think, the generation is the generation that is in our higher education. Most of them are digital natives. They have been born into the digital world, and they expect their universities, their academies, to kind of understand their approach, or else they will go and find it somewhere else. They will find it on Coursera, YouTube, Harvard Review Online, things like this. And it's very hard for them to kind of apply those internet courses into their real atmosphere, and it makes them so disappointed of their country. So, in a sense, I think the academics should be very much open, like old businessmen, like old businesswomen that were working in Iran before the ecosystem, should be very open to the digital economy.
And the last question is completely about you. If you have the control of your time, you will go to the past or you will go to the future and see what happened to this ecosystem?
Well, I would stay in this very moment, because I believe that right now we are using past to create the future, and I don't want to unfold the future before it happens. I want it to be a mystery, and I want to be hopeful that we all together create a very better future for Iran.
Thank you. I appreciate for your time, Reza Ghiabi, and I hope that we could see you more and more and more in our next programs. If I want to summarize our interview in some points, one of them was the regulator part, which they should go back to the history and do something that happened in the history of our ecosystem.
Or they should go to the future and be more smarter, whatever they like.
The other thing was starting educational system for the young generation in their schools and learn them how to think about the future, and we can build their character by being curious about everything and make them innovative. The other thing was about the holdings progress and angel investor and venture capitals, that they should be in their industry and use of their abilities and infrastructure and everything that they have.
True.
And only help to this ecosystem or cooperate with this ecosystem, not getting all of it in their system. And the other thing was, I think, help me Reza, was about the progress of Iranian startup ecosystem, which you mentioned about our history that,
yes, exactly,
and our rank. And I'm gonna get you a promise. Would you please be in our program for the next programs that we have?
With pleasure. Thank you for inviting
Yes,
me.
thank you.
So much.
Actually, it was a pleasure for me to be here with you. We are for the dial-up generation, and seeing someone in the same situation was completely good for me. Thank you. Do you want to add something at the end of our interview?
Thank you. I guess you are doing the best in terms of like creating more content for the international and local communities who are enthusiasts about startups and digital economy. We are all in it. We are all having hope for it. And thank you so much for this talk.
Thank you, actually. Thank you, and thank you.